Hi, my name is Darren Montgomery and I'm with MyRealtyOK. This is the third video in the steps to actually selling your property. Today, we're going to go through several steps at one time. And the reason for that is I want you to get as much in as possible. These aren't as large as the first two steps. The first two steps are so important that you understand them. The third step is the marketing plan. Now, I'm going to tell you what conventionally is normally done. And you're going to go, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. But normally you would call a realtor associate or a realtor and they'd come over to your property. They're going to kind of walk around it with you and what have you. If they're smart, they're going to cater their approach to you based on what you tell them about the property, what you like most, and what have you. And then they're going to give you their spiel, if you will. And most of them will have some documents that you can kind of flip through and everything that are professionally done. I used to have that, and now I don't do that because I'm doing this right here in front of you right now. And you are watching it from the comfort of your own home. But this is the normal marketing, and then they're going to go into all the places that they're going to market your property, and it's going to be realtor.com, and it's going to be zillow.com, and that's going to be mls.com and homes.com, and they're just going to continue with all the .coms until they hit about 20 to 30 of them. When the truth is that when I put this on local MLS, and they do too, it's going to feed to all those sites. Now, I know what you imagine because I've been there. You imagine them they're just typing and working themselves to death, putting all this and all these sites and what have you when it's just one site. Is it time consuming? It is time consuming. In all honesty, it's very time consuming. And it's very detailed because I have to get a lot of detailed information from you in order to list that property. But that's the general marketing plan. Now, there's only one broker. I think he's a realtor associate, to be honest with you, not a broker, that actually markets through like Facebook. For the public. And the reason this person does this, or this group of people, it's a team, does this is because, first of all, they're marketing themselves. They're big into land, and they're selling four or $500,000 properties, selling land off of Facebook. I can actually put your property on Facebook for you. Now, I will have to charge you whatever it costs me to do that, and how many ever you want to people you want to reach. But that's the general marketing plan. Now, sometimes they put it in the internal Facebook for the brokerage, and all the other realtor associates go, "Ooh, you got a listing, congratulations," and what have you. But the honest truth is, once I put that on MLS and once I hit the go button for the day that it's supposed to go on live, what it does is it tells every single realtor, associate realtor, what came on the market that day in a specific area, whatever they define. And some of them define the whole area, but here's what it does. They're going through and they're looking at, and I do it first thing in the morning normally. I definitely do it no matter what, last thing in the evening, once they're all put on the market. And I'm taking this house and I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, I've got this buyer here. Can I marry the two together? Is this what the buyer's looking for? And so I mentally have a list, or I'll have a list of what the buyer's looking for. And I try to marry them together and say, hey, I send it to them and I say, would you like to go look at that property? And that's really how it's done. It's that they look at it once or twice a day. It's through the local MLS, and they know exactly what's going on in the market. Okay, so that's pretty well generally the marketing plan. That's it. And most of the time you don't see that anyplace else. Now, I have made up business cards before with the property on that, gave the property owner some of those business cards and went out and put it in different places just to sell a property. I have done that in the past. I don't know how effective it is. I have had a few calls on it and what have you, but I don't know, I mean, how effective that is per price nowadays, because shipping is so much more expensive than it was just 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So that's the general marketing plan. Put it on MLS, the multiple listing service, the local one. It goes out to all the real estate brokers and agents and what have you. And from there, they try to marry the two together. It's so important, though, to put it on the multiple listing service. And this is the reason why, instead of just a for sale by owner, because it feeds all those other sites, first of all, one time, feeds all those other sites. And not only that does it feed all those other sites, is it shows every single realtor out there or realtor associate out there what is available to their potential buyers. You want everybody that you can to walk through a door so you have the opportunity to sell it. And the more people that walk through the door, the more likely you are to A, get more money for the property, and B, sell it. So that's the marketing plan. Now we're going to talk about picking a plan and signing the documents. That's my fourth step. It's a little bit different than most people's. I have a bronze, silver, and gold plan. You pick what you're financially comfortable with, and you pick with the amount of service that you need in order to sell this property. If you're really, I mean, I'm green. I don't know what I'm doing as a seller. I need a lot of help. I need somebody to really look over the contracts for me and what have you, and kind of explain them to me and give me a document that basically says, this is generally how much you're going to get out of this sale. Then you want the gold plan. If you need a little bit of help, but not just the most basic, then you probably want the silver plan. And if you just really can't afford it, or you've gone through several transactions in the past, you're comfortable with reading a contract and saying, I know the differences between the FHA loan and cash, like we were talking earlier, and one of the other videos, then by all means, the bronze plan. So let's say you're a realtor investor, a real estate investment person, and you sell a lot of properties. Well, you probably can go with the bronze plan. It gets out to as many people as possible, and we help you provide the documents that you need in order to sell the property. For example, the contract, if you will, the offer contract. Excuse me. The next thing is I send you a boatload of documents and you sign them. Now, most of them are directly from Greater Tulsa Association of Realtors or ORIC, Oklahoma Real Estate Commission. They're documents that I have to have. Any realtor, associate realtor will have to do it. Now, there's a couple documents that, because I offer different services, I have to deviate a little bit from the Greater Tulsa Association of Realtors document. But other than that, it's basically the same thing. And there's one that makes you understand the different parts that's going into this and ask you if you want me to do certain things, if you will. The next thing's pictures. I can tell you that pictures are so important. And the reason they're so important is it's the first look that most people get nowadays. They look online. I mean, and when I send a potential buyer, when I'm trying to marry that house, they see those pictures, if you will. It's the same pictures that end up on realtor.com, on Zillow.com. And if they're poorly done, it just doesn't look good. Now, if it's anything over 150,000, normally, and on my Go plan, I actually pay for this. You actually get a professional photographer. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my cousin. My cousin is a really great artist. She doesn't live here. She's not a photographer here. But for some reason, she can look through a camera lens and hit the perfect light and take a picture of a field of just cotton, for example. And it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Cotton's where I grew up, cotton country. But anyway, I can look at it and say, that's a field of cotton. I don't know what it is, but good photographers take great pictures and they take good pride in actually dressing them up a little bit and making them look better. For example, taking out dog mistakes in the backyard, if you will. Okay. So if you can't afford that, I get it. I understand that. Take some pictures, upload them to me, and we'll go from there. The key lock box. I provide anybody without 25 miles, past 25 miles of the Tulsa area, I provide them with a punch button key box. Okay, this punch button key box is it's a rental, and what it does is it'll open up. The reason I use a punch button is it's safer than the rotating kind. The rotating kind shows anybody around you what the actual combination is, and they can come back later and get in the house. But it's much harder to look at somebody that punches like 35976. It's much harder to do that. So that's the reason I use a punch button. If you're local and if I have one, I will actually bring my realtor box for you, and they can actually, it tells me exactly who walked through that property on an ongoing basis. Plus, it makes it easier for you to approve people to come and look at your property. Showing your property is so important. That's step 7. If you do not show your property, it will not sell. And I can't tell you how many times that I have set up 3 or 4 houses in one day. The 4th house doesn't want to even show their property that day. And I can already tell you, no buyer wants to go out the second day. They ran all day yesterday, if you will. They don't want to go out a second day. You just lost a potential buyer. The only time I've seen them really change their mind is if that was the real property that they really wanted to see, and they may come and look at it. But generally speaking, that is in your higher end properties that somebody sold on just the way it's setting. They're looking at the land around it. It's just gorgeous, if you will. That's the only time. So you have to show your property in order to sell it. Then people will start giving you offers, hopefully, if it's priced right, if it's got the cleanliness and everything, if it's where it needs to be, people are going to give you offers. If you sign that offer, it becomes a contract. You definitely want to read through it. I'm going to give you an example of something that happened to me one time. Had a seller. I presented all the different contracts that were, or potential contracts. And instead of really going through it and what have you, it all got mixed up in the head, if you will. Signed the document, didn't realize that the buyer that they signed with wanted the refrigerator. The first thing they did, because they were moving to a different state, was sell the refrigerator. On the final walkthrough, the buyer says, "Where's my refrigerator?" Guess what? They had to buy, I'm talking the seller, had to buy a refrigerator to close the deal because that was in the contract. You want to know what's in the contract and you want to follow it. Otherwise, you're considered breach of contract, and it can cost you. It can literally cost you. So the offers become contracts. The next step is everything goes to a closing company or a title company. Now, I let you pick your own closing company or title company. I would be glad to furnish you a panel of 3 of them. Most of them are comparably priced to each other, and it's going to cost you there's some that are a little bit more expensive. I don't normally go with those. Service makes all the difference in the world. If they're keeping you apprised of what's going on with the whole title part, it can save you a lot of heartache. So I like one that communicates with me well. If you know someone that is in that business and you want to use them, or you've used them in the past and you liked what they did, I don't have a problem with that. I have no problem whatsoever. I want you happy. I don't pick out what's going to make me happy. I want you to be happy. So title companies are really, There's a lot of them out there, but they're not all the same as long as service and actually taking care of their customers. Now the buyer is going to order and pay for an inspection normally. That inspection is going to give them a report. Usually you will be supplied with that report, and if you're not, you need to contact me and I'll get it done for you. But anyway, they're going to get that report. Usually, sometimes they're just immediate. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days, and if there's a weekend involved, it takes 3 or 4 days. But anyway, and then you're going to get a TRR. This is treatment replacements repair. This is where something can go really wrong with selling your property. Remember, we talked about this on preparing your property. Make sure you take care of the problems before they hit that report, because what's going to happen is they're going to say, I would like for you, this garbage disposal is fixed. I would like for you to replace it, and I want you to replace it with a licensed plumber, if you will. And that is kind of how that works. And so you have the possibility to say, no, I will not do that. And you could lose the sale there. They could walk out. If there's something major with the property that they don't like they found that there's foundation issues and the house is splitting apart, and they say, I don't want that, they can walk at this time, basically. So you really need, this inspection part, this is really part of the key, and you need to be on top of that. You have a certain amount of days to make those decisions. So when you get that TRR report, you may want to have some estimates done if there's major problems there. The next thing is moving prior to close. You want to have everything ready and move prior to close. I put on every one of my buyers, the contracts or the offers that become contracts, I put on there that the seller must remove all personal property prior to closing. And of course, there's a final walkthrough, usually 1 to 3 days prior. The last one, they walked through the very last day. They were getting ready to go close, and they decided to walk through then. But anyway, that's kind of the way that happens. There is a final walkthrough prior to closing. You have to legally give that to them. They want to make sure that you didn't tear up your floors on the way out or something. And then there's closing day. Sometimes there's such a thing as pre-signing. I like doing that. It makes it a lot easier. But you need to have a house key or the codes or whatever to get into the property, and you need to be able to give that to your closing company when you start signing the documents. That's the closing day, is when everything is wired, and you need a government wired. We're talking about money, and you need a government issued ID when you go there. That is to protect the seller, but the buyer has to have one also. So you need a government issued ID to take to closing day. I've never had a person that didn't bring one, but I'd just like to make sure that you are very aware of that. Listen, this isn't comprehensive. I could go in forever on this. My telephone number is 918-378-4460. That's 918-378-4460. If there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. I am glad to help you. I'm here to help you. That is my goal. Thank you.